Tel Staffing and HR, in conjunction with PatriotTV.live, bring you Play Harder Radio, the premier patriotic sports and BS talk show from America's Gulf Coast. Things that matter in the world of sports and things that don't matter to anyone. It's just Faja's opinion. Where the F-bomb is allowed, but frowned upon. This is Play Harder Radio. And now, your host, James Grant.
All right. Woo! Where the F-bomb is allowed but frowned upon. Might be doing a lot of frowning tonight.
It's even necessary sometimes.
It's, wow.
Test.
I couldn't be ready on time if,
You had a week.
well, I could think of reasons I'd be ready in time.
Okay.
How you doing?
Oh, you know, things.
I don't get it.
Okay, well, I'm just sitting here looking.
You're not ready to do what we normally do?
Well, I am looking for the correct. There we go. There's a good lower third for us. Okay, how's it going?
Going good. I'm going to get signed into. I got the computer up here this week, so we finally got that figured out, and so we can. I can keep track of people chatting on Patriot TV. If you want to chat with us, go to patriottv.live, go to the menu, go to Play Harder Radio. You can register if you would, then I can see, and put your name in, then I can see who you are. Or you can just be a guest user and I won't know, you'll just have to, it'll say guest user.
Anonymous.
And,
I'm watching that too. It looks good.
Well, let's get the LeBron thing out of the way.
All right. I'm happy to do that. And Mr. LeBron is up if you'd like to talk about him.
Oh, that son of a... Who else? This guy, this is a picture of his stunt double for Space Jam 2. He needs a stunt double against cartoons. He needs a stunt double to do CGI.
Hard to believe.
He just as usual, he sucks.
He is LeBron.
Right? All right, let's see. What do we got? I don't see anything yet on Patriot. Maybe that's at the, I'm just going to do play. There it is. You got to do play. So I'm signed in there. Hey guys, let's see if this works. Right on, there it is. How about the next pick?
Okay. You want to talk about the... Hold on just a second.
The Mexican word of the day.
Yeah.
Right? So...
What? It's there. You just can't see it on
okay,
yours.
You got to let me know.
Well...
The Mexican word of the day, sodas. Joe Biden sucks. So does Kamala Harris. I thought that was funny. You know what? You need those sound
yeah, I
effects
definitely do.
That we had on the other that we have on the other panel, right?
Yeah.
And how about the MCL Simplify 5K charity run for the children? That is the Marine Corps League of Pensacola's 37th annual charity run for the children. Benefits 6 local children's charities. November 13th, 2 days after Veterans Day. So the timing is pretty nice there for that. It's going to honor General Chuck Pittman this year, who passed away this last year. You need to just Google him. Google him in Las Vegas, Howard Johnson's, and read that story. That's pretty amazing. So, but you can go to Marine Corps League Pensacola.com. It's either MCLPensacola.com or Marine Corps League Pensacola.com, and click on the link for the race and make a donation or sign up for the race. We're trying to get 500 teams this year. And so would love to have your donation or come out and run with us if you're in the Pensacola area. I know a lot of you listening want to come out and run. I'm sure of it, right? So we got that going for us. Tonight, we're going to have Dan Begley on with us. He's been here before talking a little hockey. Dan, I did not get to your hockey video, to the Nikita Kucherov's video. So, sorry.
Well, he would have he would have been frowned upon a few times if you'd have been able to throw that up there. It's like 5 minutes of F-bombs, but very entertaining and very honest.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Todd, if you want to, Dan, can you see the poster for the charity run?
I took it down whenever Dan started talking.
Okay, cool. Let's go to HDMI 2 and real quick with Outsider Tactical.
Yeah, I looked them up.
Pretty cool, right?
Yep. I love their logo. Look at my shirt. Look at my shirt, and then look at their logo.
I'll have to go back to look at your shirt. I can't see you, I guess. I thought I could see the show's video, but I don't see Dan. And I see my video has timed out.
Well, I see you on Play Harder on Patriot TV right now.
I'm looking at Patriot TV. I don't see it. It must just take that time to come up. It's a huge delay for me, I guess. All right, let's see here.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, I think I've got this fixed too. One of those nights. That's interesting. I see the Dan Begley, but I don't see Dan. But I do see that you've got that up there. So Outsider Tactical.
Yeah.
Should be able to see that now. But yeah, great new partner with PatriotTV.live and a sponsor of Play Harder Radio. Glad to have those guys on board and get out there and buy something from them. They've got all the right stuff. I looked through the website a little earlier. You know, they got optics. I mean, they got Trigicon, you know, top of the line. Hunting, shooting, outdoor, apparel, DDT, ProMag. Let's see all the brands. They got a ton of brands on here. American Tactical, Ameriglow, Allen, ASC, ATN, Axion Optics, Beretta, Blackhawk. Go check them out. Bushnell, CZ USA, DDT, Glock, Guard Dog Security, Lag Tactical. Bunch of good stuff. You bought any guns recently, Dan?
I can't say.
Excellent. I'm okay.
Maybe.
I'm okay with that.
Most likely. Can we go back to LeBron for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can always, if it's a chance to bash on LeBron, we got time.
Okay, you're really good at trivia, so I'm going to ask you.
We'll see.
What high school did LeBron James attend?
Green jerseys somewhere in Akron, Ohio.
St. Mary, St. Vincent's in Akron, Ohio. And I say attend because once he got into ninth grade, from that point forward, I don't think he really went to class. He was there for 4 years. The reason I'm saying that is we lived in that area. My son's his age. They didn't play basketball against each other, but did play football, high school football against each other. And LeBron's been a jackass since he was in the ninth grade.
Right.
And I know that from personal experience. So you can bash him all you want. As far as I'm concerned, he's about as sharp as a marble.
Well, you know, there might that clue that he didn't go to class might be in
His delivery when he speaks.
the difficulty forming a sentence.
Yeah.
All right, I can see
Yeah,
you now. Let me see your shirt. I can see you now. Raise up a little so I can see your shirt.
See the graphic.
Broken arrow.
Yeah, I've got a.
Yeah, but the mountain graphic is the same as, I think it's the same, almost identical to Outsider.
Right on. That's cool. Cool.
I noticed it when I went on the website. I was like, oh wow.
Right on. So how's your week been? How are you, just in general, how are you feeling?
Oh, I feel great physically. I've had COVID twice and haven't been vaccinated and got through it with minimal effort, symptoms. I guess I'm a lucky one.
Whatever. What's that mean? So what that means is that you buy into everybody's lethality. You buy into the government's lethality, is what you're telling me. That's why you're lucky.
No, I do not. I do not. You know that. Here's what I'd say about that. I may not look like it, but I get over 120 minutes of exercise per week, vigorous exercise. And I think that has a lot to do with how immune systems can, prevent or mitigate issues with these so-called viruses. And that's what I'll call it, because I don't know if they know what it is.
You know what? I
mean, they call it a virus.
There's a lot of things going on right now with that they haven't really, that there really isn't a COVID strain, that they've just been using a Corona strain. I'm not the bio guy, or
neither am I, but I can tell you that, I try to keep things simple because I'm simple, but you cannot, first of all, in my opinion, and I think it's been written by numerous experts, this is a beyond human host type of sickness. In other words, it's not just restricted to humans. So if it were, I think the inoculation, vaccination terminology, which they started out with way back when this whole thing began, would have merit, because you could theoretically eliminate it or eradicate it because it's human only.
Right.
But it's not. So I think that's the biggest hurdle they have to overcome. But the problem is, now you've had 18 months of propaganda both ways, right?
Right.
And if you don't get vaccinated, we're all gonna perish. If you don't wear a mask, as far as I know, the N95 is it, as far as masks are concerned. That nothing else matters. If you wear something other than that, you might as well not be wearing one.
That's right. And there's one other mask that I've got a friend that's been on the show, Gabe Sanders, said there's one other mask that works as well. He works in a bio lab and has a lot to do with testing in a lot of the major hospital chains, is how I want to say it. If you're watching, Gabe, you can send me a message and clarify that a little bit on the PatriotTV.live feed. But
like you and I talked before, my opinion, and it's strictly my opinion, the vaccine at this stage could be characterized more as a treatment protocol versus a preventive measure, because obviously people that have been vaccinated are still getting.
I think you might be able to characterize it as an accelerant.
Well, even that. I mean, it's just, I think the reaction, the overreaction to this, personal perspective, from the beginning, is really what's caused all these issues. I mean, if you go back, and I'm sure our audience is all aware of this, but 100 years ago, the Spanish flu, 50, if I'm not mistaken, 50 million people perished from the Spanish flu.
Worldwide, I guess.
Okay. It was
obviously.
20, yes, worldwide, 20 times more deadly. 20 times more deadly by American data. If you look at just the United States, I just looked at this the other day. And I can't cite the numbers, but I can cite the percentages. 20 times more deadly than COVID.
Crazy.
There's no comparison. Okay. Yet people react like some people that have, whatever motives are reacting as if it's that deadly. It's not. Not even close.
Characterize people in general from that time. What was that, 1909?
1918.
1918. 18.
Yep.
Characterize that against people today overall.
Well, what prompted me to really kind of delve into it a little bit more. I mean, I knew that the Spanish flu was extremely deadly, but you got to go back. I think that's what you're asking me. You got to go back and look what things were like in 1918 in this country. Okay. From an overall perspective, environmentally,
right.
Different than it is today. The population of the United States was, it was probably 150 million people, okay, compared to what it is now, 330 million people, 335 million people. So, obviously it's not just using that, you can't make a direct comparison, but if you do the math,
it makes it much deadlier per 100,000.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's why the numbers were what they were. Okay. And, lots changed since 1918. I guess, I just don't get the reaction. I just really, it's terrible when people pass away, obviously. But
yeah,
to my knowledge, I don't think the death rates in the United States are reflective of, in the last 2 years, are reflective of something so devastating that we have to do all this, jump through all these hoops and run through all these gyrations to try to control it.
Not if you, especially not if you take into account that a lot of the deaths weren't actually due to COVID.
Yeah, in the beginning, what I remember is average 2.5 comorbidities, serious comorbidities, and they tested positive for COVID. Okay, so I just don't get all this. And if you look at the death rates of this so-called new variant, or the current death rates of everything that's encompassed under COVID, they're going down. More people are getting infected, but the death rates are going down. So it's becoming less deadly on its own.
Right. Well, Brett Weinstein was on Joe Rogan, I think, late last week, and then was on another show recently. He's a biologist, and there's studies out there, 63 studies, 31 randomized controlled RCTs.
There's a Kim Grant online.
Yeah, that's Chloe.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, I should have known that.
And right?
Yeah.
And so I'm thrown off now. Randomized
Studies.
controlled trials. Randomized controlled trials. 31 randomized controlled trials where they've shown an 86% efficacy prophylactically, which he said is enough to eradicate it should they choose to implement the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be eradicated. or
According to
potentially
that, right.
eradicated. I'm not going to say that it's but is anybody acknowledging that? In my mind, they're acknowledging it by their fight, by the way they're ramping up against everything, fighting it.
Well, I mean, Joe Rogan, has talked about the monoclonal antibodies and the ivermectin, right, as stuff that he's taken right away, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And so, somebody posts this letter that the FDA put out about the use of ivermectin, and the way the letter's worded, it's like they might as well say, we know everybody in this country is a complete idiot.
Right.
Ergo, we're going to tell you you're a complete idiot by writing this position piece to veterinarians or others.
Right.
That, how do they know what people are doing when it comes to the ivermectin and where they're buying it?
They don't. Hey, let me take a time out on this, and let's get Chloe Grant, my niece, was kind enough to join us tonight, and she's waiting. We're waiting on her to come in. Can you bring up Dan and Chloe, Todd?
Yeah, hold on, I'll admit her.
And we're going to get her on the line and talk to her. She's at a high school in Colorado, which I was on a show. I was on Truth Slingers here on Patriot TV last night, and they brought it up, and I said, "Hey, my niece and my nephew go to that high school, and they were part of the walkout yesterday." So, and they sent me. You know what? This is how we know the combination. They sent me pictures from being out by the road.
Who sent you the pictures?
Max, I don't know if Chloe sent any, but Max sent me a couple.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't some news outlet sending you pictures of your niece and nephew.
Well, the pictures that the that the news outlets were put out, if they did, I believe they did, but they were in that crowd.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So
they should have been wearing a Play Harder Radio T-shirt.
I don't know. I can't even get one yet. Do we have Chloe?
Yeah, she's on there.
Hey, Chloe.
Hey.
Are you on camera?
I am on camera.
Do we have it up, Todd?
I'll have it in a minute.
All right.
I saw her for a millisecond, Jim.
Well,
she is on camera.
What I saw was her mom. Hello?
My mom's here?
No, it was the picture. I think it was from the feed when she was on Monday.
That's what she had up originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chloe, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So,
amazing.
Yeah. Did you were at volleyball practice today? How was that?
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. We just ended at 5:30.
Cool. So barely enough time to get home and get on here.
Yeah.
How did so? What's the high school that you go to? There she is.
I go to Legend High School.
Right on. And your brother goes to the same high school.
He does. He's a senior, and I'm a freshman.
I can't believe he's a senior.
I know, it's crazy.
Are you wanting him to go to college, like how far away are you wanting him to go to college? Stay local, or you want him to
Hopefully not too far, probably local.
Okay. Well, you know what is nice is I was texting with Max and Chloe, yesterday because of of your walkout. And then I asked about Max getting on the show, and he said, I can't. Maybe that was today, but I can't. I've got a hockey game. So Max is playing hockey right now, or about to. And I asked Chloe if she wanted to come on. I wanted to get them both on. And Max is like, Chloe, you should do it. And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. So I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So tell me, how did the walkout go? And tell me how it went down, and what was the teacher's reaction and other parents, if you know, reaction?
Okay, so basically, We first, at about 9:30, that was the time that we all decided we would do it. And in my class, I was kind of nervous because I was like, none of these, like, I know for a fact that none of these people are going to go with me. And then there was this one girl that I knew, like, I like looked at her and I was like, she would. I was like, she would. And then so I like went up to her. I was like, hey, do you want to go with me? And she was like, yeah, for sure. And then my teacher was like, my teacher, it's my biology teacher. He's very, like he's very for wearing a mask and thinks it's very effective. Like he likes wearing a mask. Like he's definitely part of that. And so he was like, I really like this teacher. He's very, I don't know, but he's not trying to like push his beliefs on anybody. You know what I mean?
He doesn't?
Like he was like, I don't want to like, I don't want to change what you think about this. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say how I believe. I want you to think what you want to based on the information that you're given, which I liked. I love this teacher. And then so when we started walking out, he was like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. Like, I think this is so interesting to watch. So he was really cool about it. And he just like wanted to be there for the experience, even though he didn't really support it, but he just wanted to see how it was like going. And then, so we all just like walked down, like we were walking through the hallways because we're going to meet up at this park that's like right across the street from Legend. And there was like so many people, like it was crazy. People kept coming and coming. And then we went outside. There was a bunch of teachers everywhere. And they were all like, they were obviously very disapproving of it. Like they had like their arms crossed and they were like shaking their heads and they were very judgy of it. And
Of course.
so we were walking outside. And right when we got outside, there was the principal. He had like a whole like blowhorn, like a speaker thing. And he was like talking through it. He was like, guys, like, what are you doing? And then so we walked by him. And he was also very judgy. Like I was kind of like nervous to walk by him because I thought he'd like say something to me, but he didn't. And there was probably like, I'm not very good with numbers or like estimating how many people are in places, but maybe like 300 people there when we first got there. And there's this one mom kind of set the whole thing up. Like she bought us all pizzas. She bought us 80 pizzas for like $900. It was
That's
insane.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. And she had a sign that said, this is child abuse. And there was like a ton of signs like, we want to see your smile, like stuff like that. And so we all just kind of like did that. And a bunch of cars were going by like honking and stuff. There was a couple cars that went by that were not very approving. Like this one girl came and like she was in her car. She was like, yeah. And then she started yelling at us. She was like, what are you doing? Like, this is so stupid. Like you guys are so ignorant. And everybody started yelling at her. And so they kept yelling at each other. It was pretty crazy, yeah.
Did you tell her she was going to be late for her job at McDonald's?
Nice dig.
Yeah.
So
You know what? She's probably making $15 an hour at McDonald's.
Yeah, probably. In Denver, maybe $15.50. So, Chloe, what was today like then? And how long were you out there?
I was out there for the whole day. We kind of just, me and a couple of my friends went in for lunch because we wanted to go inside and eat with some of our friends who didn't come out. And so we just went in for this fifth, like half of fifth and then all of sixth period to eat. And so we kind of we sat out there all day. So from 9:30 till like 1. And then at 1, I got picked up by one of my friend's sisters, and then we like kind of just went around, and then I came back for volleyball practice since it was at the school. So yeah, it was a pretty long day. It was super hot.
That's all. I didn't know. I thought maybe you went out for an hour or so or something like that, or hour or so.
Yeah, we did not come back to class that day.
All day. That is awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
And mom and dad were approving?
Yes, they were. They were, I wouldn't say encouraging, but they were kind of encouraging. They were like, I'd be totally fine if you did that. Like, I think that's awesome. Like, I think it's cool. So, yeah. And my mom came by, apparently. I didn't know. I saw her car. I just didn't know it was her. And she came by, and she was, like, honking her horn at us.
That's awesome.
I kind of feel like Kimmy was a supporter.
Yes. Yeah.
So today, you found out kind of from me and from Max and I texting that Max got kicked out of a class today because he refused to wear a mask.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. I was like I was very surprised by that because they're not like really allowed to say anything about it right now. I don't know what the reason is behind that, but they're not allowed to say like anything like put on your mask or anything like that. And so when I came into school today, I had my first class. It was very obvious that the teacher was like kind of looking at me, and like the principal gave an announcement that said, He was like, please wear a mask, like put it on, like over your nose and mouth. And I was just sitting there and I didn't have one. So it was kind of like uncomfortable. And there was a couple people in my class that had that. And so I could tell I was getting a lot of looks, but there's a pretty good amount of people who didn't wear any masks.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, stay strong.
When
Yes, but
You'll get more people by staying diligent with it.
yeah. But then at volleyball practice, when I came into volleyball practice, not a lot of the freshmen or sophomores or juniors really like they kind of just do what they're told. They put on their masks like all the way to their noses. But then the seniors, and I was the only one on the freshman team, which was kind of, well, me and this other girl were the only two on the freshman team that weren't wearing a mask. And so we had a meeting and they were like, please wear it. And apparently the coach told the varsity team they're going to be kicked off the team if they don't have a mask on, like at school and at volleyball, which I think, oh, I hate that. But, and so we had a big meeting about it and they were just like, you guys have to wear your mask. Like we see you guys at school. We know that a bunch of you weren't wearing a mask today, which needs to change. And so they passed out masks and I just like, they were like, please wear it properly. And so I just like wore it at my chin because I was like, that's so stupid. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not going to get kicked off the team because of that. Like, are you kidding me?
I love you.
I don't know if are they, Jim, maybe you can answer it, and Chloe, maybe either one of you. Is it a mandate in Colorado, or is it just a suggestion, or what are they?
It is a mandate. It is a mandate.
Well, but it's not law. It's just a mandate.
It's not law.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't get, I mean, to use that as an excuse to kick somebody off a team is going to be pretty weak.
I know. I think that's crazy.
I'm so the more I hear about it from you, the more I love it, is in that you you know, with the threat, I know how much you love playing volleyball.
Yeah.
And to have that hanging over your head that you could get kicked off the team, and to go ahead and do it anyway, and to be you kind of took a leadership role in class, you know, in the whole thing, and going out for the protest to start with.
Yeah.
And you know,
And it was kind of crazy because there's only like 10 freshmen out there. Like I was one of like 10 freshmen out of like 400 people.
wow.
Yeah.
How many people are in your high school, do you think?
Oh, let me think. About 2,000.
That's craziness. So that's still a pretty good number.
But there was a couple people. There was a couple people who they were sitting like across the street, like behind the principal, and they made their own little signs. Like there's people, they wore their masks like up to their eyes. Like they had, and they had signs that said, "We don't want to see your ugly faces. Like put your mask on." And so there was like 5 of them, and everyone was like, "Why are you guys even out here? Like go away."
Yeah, you can't be out here. You're wearing a mask. This is a no mask zone.
Exactly.
So they wear
wasn't
their
even wearing a mask.
So they wear masks all the time, inside and outside. These people.
Inside and outside. And there was this one girl recording us. She was wearing, I'm not even kidding, she was wearing 4 masks. And she was recording us. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, maybe that's because some faces take 4 masks.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to. Don't let all of Uncle Jim rub off on you. I'd be in trouble from your mom and dad.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So, have you seen Max today since you got? Well, were you home when we were texting earlier?
No, I was at school.
Yeah, he came home for the rest of the day, didn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't even know about that.
I love it. Yeah,
So I'll have to ask him about it when he gets home.
I've heard that Max is pretty upset about the whole thing.
Oh, he is.
Do you think
So am I. I hate that. Like, that's so annoying that we're doing all this, like, again. Like, are you kidding me?
Your dad told me how excited you guys were to go back to school with no masks, and that it was really kind of over the top exciting, and to be able to see your friends with none of that crap going on.
Yeah, for sure. Because you just, like, see everybody with masks, and it's just so weird. Like, I hate it.
Was that you and Abby you sent me a picture of?
No, that was me and Delaney. Abby goes to Lutheran.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, that's
Yes.
awesome.
So Chloe, can I ask a question? If you were, now you're a freshman, you got 4 years left.
Yes.
What would happen if they said there's no way you can come back to school unless you wear a mask?
I don't know. That's a tough one because I actually think going to school is so fun because I get to see all my friends and I don't even care about the classes because I get to hang out with friends and stuff. So that's kind of a tough one because I definitely want the social aspect of it because when we went online, it was like really hard for me. Like I hated it. Like I could barely like talk to anybody. Like it was horrible. And so I don't know. I definitely wouldn't wear it like all the way up. I would definitely not do that. I'd probably wear it the least I could, but I probably would, honestly.
Yeah, because I think that's probably inevitable, is that they're
Yeah.
going to force everybody to do it. I mean, I live in Pennsylvania, and they just, mandated it for K through 12.
Yeah.
Teachers, students, all personnel within the building.
Well, here's this. I'm sorry, Dan.
No, I just think she's nailing it when it comes to the concerns about the social interaction being so destroyed
Yeah.
by having this, and really for young people, you're growing up, trying to become adults, and that is a huge part of your life,
Exactly.
is being able to interact with other people, learn how
Development.
other people's. You don't get exposed to other people's ideas if you're not talking to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's been so nice lately because I just get like so much social interaction like versus last year. And so it's just so nice.
They don't want you interacting with each other and sharing ideas
not.
and supporting each other and being lifted up and strengthened by each other.
Exactly.
Right.
They want to like
See-
cause a divide or whatever.
So you were able to, just using the little example you already gave, when you decided to leave the class, you looked at the girl that you said, I think she'd do it. I know she'd do it. And you asked her face to face, you had a social interaction, communication, and she did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably largely because you gave her the confidence. You showed enough confidence that she said, yeah, okay, I can do it. And
Yeah, and if
that's,
someone came up to me, like if I was all alone and I didn't see anybody like that, and if someone came up to me and was like, hey, you want to come with me? I'd be like, oh yeah, for sure. Like that, I was scared before, but yeah.
Yeah, there's strength in numbers.
Exactly.
So Dan, check this out. My brother, Chloe's dad, Dan, sent me last week. He sent me a newspaper clipping from Douglas County that the Douglas County School Board had decided they were not going to impose the mask mandate. And so, and they had a couple of meetings about this and decided they weren't going to impose the mask mandate, made it clear. And so that's why they were able to go back to school without the masks when the state had mandated the masks. And so Tri-County Health, which I guess is Arapahoe County, Douglas, and I don't know, Jefferson or Denver. I'm not sure which the other one would be. I assume Arapahoe and Douglas. But the Tri-County Health Department overrode Douglas County School Board's decision. And that's why they have to wear masks. Then now this is what's encouraging, which it should be I don't know if you heard, Chloe, but your brother sent me, or your dad sent me this too. Douglas County now is breaking away from Tri-County Health and starting their own health department.
good for them.
So
Yeah, because they're like, you like broke our contract. Like we're out of here.
Well, it's just, it's so convoluted that you even have to have these kinds of conversations when, you've got the school board, which says, or the county, which says we're not going to enforce it. Right. And then some other group comes in and somehow overrides it. So
Yeah.
it's the same here. I mean, like the state of Pennsylvania, the governor, the opposing party was able to. It's a long litany of stuff. It's not just the COVID reaction, but limited. We're able to legislate limiting his power, his emergency powers, because they were, and everybody pretty much in the state was of the belief that he was abusing that that option that he had. And so everybody thought that was going to be the end of it, pretty much. But right before school year started, he used another provision under the health. It's a health and safety platform, which is outside of the emergency powers platform. Ergo, he's able to impose this because it's not restricted by what the law that just passed, restricts his emergency power. So he's doing it under a different veil to make it happen. And this all occurred like one day before school started, like the very last minute. So it's the same here. I mean, we've got hundreds of thousands of kids in Pennsylvania that thought they were going to go back to school without having to wear a mask, and now they have to. So we'll see how it goes as far as, any repercussions, but just awesome that you're taking the initiative to do what you believe in.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else, Chloe?
I don't think so.
I'm going to see you in about 6 weeks or less.
I'm excited.
Ooh, actually, let me take that back. I'll see you at the end of the month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Thursday. On Thursday, the 30th or 29th or 30th. 30th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think I'll be at the house that night.
Oh,
So,
cool.
and then we'll figure out all of our shenanigans for Jared's wedding.
Exactly. I'm excited.
Me too. Well, listen, Chloe, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. And
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
let us know, keep in touch with me about how it's going.
Okay, will do.
And I will talk to you soon. Love you.
All right, amazing. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
That's awesome, Jim. She's got it going on.
How about how she handles herself?
I'm thoroughly that is a breath of fresh air and a confidence builder that we have, young people that can express themselves effectively, believe in what they believe in, and are going down that path of, developing as individuals. That's encouraging to me. I don't see that every day.
I haven't had as much interaction with Chloe as I have Max. For those of you, Dan knows Max because he's been on the show before, talking some hockey. He and Dan talking some hockey with Al Randall. We got to get Al back on here soon, by the way. And,
I haven't talked to him on the phone for probably a month, but he's fine. He's doing good. He's just busy. The season's upon him.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going to happen with sports, and if this continues to ramp up, the Big Ten is kind of squirrely when it comes to how they do things. That was last year with the way they handled sports.
Well, Michigan, Nit Whitmer is a shit show.
Well, and the same as with the guy here in Pennsylvania, Wolf. But
your guy's a Republican, right?
No.
No?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
No, we have a majority in the House, in the Congress of Pennsylvania is majority Republican.
Right.
This guy's a Democrat. The only Democrat areas in Pennsylvania,
Philadelphia,
Pittsburgh, and the Lehigh Valley. That's it.
Crazy.
Those counties.
Craziness.
There's like 5 or 6 counties that dictate the outcomes of presidential and Senate races and different things like that. It's just the governor race. It's silly.
So let's talk a little bit of sports, and then we'll jump. Then we'll talk about some of the foreign relation heap of shit that's going on. Cam, the affable Cam Newton was released this week.
Cam got canned.
Cam got canned.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I never bought into his act with. I never bought into his act, and then with this after the Super Bowl against Denver, you remember the fumble, and then he just didn't even go after it, didn't even try.
Yeah.
And then throwing a fit afterwards in the locker room and all that stuff. It just kind of confirmed how I felt he was. But I'm not unhappy to see that he is has been sent down the road by Mr. Belichick.
Well, the thing about Cam Newton, I guess the way I would characterize him is his demeanor, and I know what you're talking about, gives me the impression that he really he's not overly concerned whether he plays football or not. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's not his passion. His passion is to wear the all the different outfits that he wears and be on camera and, get the attention that way and make the money. I don't think the football is just the vehicle for him to be in that kind of a venue. So I would doubt that he's really upset about getting canned.
I doubt
because somebody will pick him up.
Money's not an issue.
No, it's not. I mean, so it just, to me, it's kind of an innocuous thing. And football players at the pro level, with the exception of quarterbacks, I mean, I think the Patriots have been able to prove that. They're plug and play, man.
Right.
Look at how many teams went to the Super Bowl under Belichick with no names, but they had one name. They had a quarterback.
Tom Brady.
And that's the pro game.
Mac,
you just got to have the man behind center. That's all.
Mac Jones kind of comes out of college, maybe even with a little more fanfare, but, not super athletic, but really, just surreal. I mean, I'm not saying he's not athletic by any means, but he's not Cam Newton athletic, right?
Oh, no.
And,
Cam Newton could play. He could play multiple positions on a football field.
Cam Newton, let's not get anything mistaken here. Cam Newton is a fabulous athlete.
Yeah, I would not take anything away from him. I just don't think he's a passionate athlete.
No heart for it.
Right.
And he just, I mean, he's a physical specimen beyond, and so, but
he could play wide out. He could even play tight end in the NFL.
He is a big man.
Yep.
He could.
Yep.
You know what? He could probably play linebacker or defensive end.
Yep.
As well. He wouldn't really have to bulk up to play linebacker, but those outside linebackers these days are stand-up rushers. So.
Well, look at Strahan. Okay, Michael Strahan.
Right.
I mean, I know he's slimmed down since his playing days, but that guy. I mean, Cam Newton is every bit, if not more, of a physical specimen.
I think more of
Strahan.
I think more of a physical specimen.
Yeah, and probably way more athletic.
Probably.
So
certainly faster.
So I mean, you could debate this all day long, but football players just football in general, it's a plug and play sport. I mean, if you're playing on a deep football team, which the NFL, allows them 53 on the roster. College, if you look at Alabama or any of those programs, I mean, if the fourth guy in line has to go on the field, they're fine, right?
At Alabama,
not going to
they
change
are
too much. Yeah. So, I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think he's worried. I don't think he's, he might say some things about, getting let loose, or it was a bomb I didn't expect was coming. But it's Belichick.
Well, we didn't hear anything from I haven't heard anything from Newton that I've seen. I'm not saying I haven't been, scouring the internet for it, but of course, some ex-players couldn't contain themselves, like Asante Samuel.
Yep.
He tweeted
Yeah,
out, Belichick never surprises me. And then Louis Riddick. Did Riddick play at Pittsburgh?
I don't remember.
And he might have been, I don't know. He might have been New England, but he comes back with Bill does what Bill does, right or wrong. The man is cold-blooded and would do what he thinks he has to do, period. And so
that's probably BS. So I mean, as far as that's just him making a statement about his personal feelings for Bill.
Right. And then Samuel comes back with cold-blooded as an understatement, but without Brady, he's just another coach, in my opinion.
That's more cutting, because if you look at the numbers, if you look at the career of both guys, the joint career of both guys,
right?
And Belichick was there before Brady, but I mean, Brady goes to Tampa in the very first year he's there. They win it all.
Yeah.
Right.
And it took them all year to get it together.
Right.
And
so I think that statement by Samuel is going to be prophetic. I think that's going to be you don't win that league without a stud quarterback.
Right.
And to put it all on a rookie, even the best rookies, Well,
we'll see.
I mean, Dan Marino was a stud of a quarterback as a first and second year player.
The best rookie season. One of the best rookie.
Yeah.
I say the best rookie season that I can remember since '69. Best rookie season, and then Dax.
He went, but didn't they go to the Super Bowl his first or second year?
Yeah, they lost to San Francisco.
Right. So, I mean, he is adamant about what a coach Don Shula was, right? That Shula forced him to grow up in a hurry and learn the system fast enough so that they could be competitive as when he was a rookie. He said it was the best thing that ever happened to him. It was hard.
Right. I think he came in game 5 of that year. If I remember.
It could be. He probably didn't play all 16 games, but
I think he came in game 5, and I mean, he had and he came in game 5 and was the starter there on out.
Was Strock the guy that he replaced?
I would say I would think not. Don Strock backed up. Didn't he back up Greasy? You know who he replaced?
Marino's older than you're thinking. I mean, this goes
84.
back.
That was 84.
Yeah.
He took over for David.
Oh, yeah.
Just run of the mill quarterback.
Yeah, I know. I can see him, but I can't remember his name.
I want to say number 16, but I can't come up with the last name.
Yeah.
But and because it'd been a dry spell, and then that Marino never went back to the Super Bowl.
No.
Do you know the 5 quarterbacks chosen in that draft, all first round?
I used to know that, but I don't remember.
The number 1 quarterback taken, the number 1 pick was John Elway.
What year was it?
84.
Yeah.
John Elway. Then you had Todd Blackledge.
Yeah, good quarterback.
Ken O'Brien, New York Jets.
Yeah.
I believe Tony Eason. And then Dan Marino was the 5th. He was you know what his deal was? There was some kind of pot incident.
David Woodley.
David Woodley. That's who I think that's who he took over for.
Well, David Woodley's career 80 to 83 with the Dolphins.
Look up Dolphin roster for 1984. Maybe it'll be a good name to talk about. Those, and there was one thing missing that John Elway finally got that Dan Marino never got. Do you know what that was?
Super Bowl.
Well, no. As far as getting to the Super Bowl and winning, as far as winning the Super Bowl,
MVP.
a running back.
Oh, okay. You're talking about what he got on
One
the team.
piece of something he integral part of the team that was needed until when Terrell Davis came. But they lost. I think John lost a couple. He had an epic loss to the Giants, I think, in Washington before he got Terrell Davis, who would have been an all-time great, I want to say, if he hadn't had that degenerative knee.
Okay, so I'm looking at the roster from 84.
Right.
The only other quarterback on the roster was Jim Jensen.
I remember him. So that must have been the quarterback, the starter for a while.
Let's go and look at 83.
And then look at 85.
I'm doing this all without my glasses. Don Strock.
It was in 83
Told
was
you. Yeah.
was Strock.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
telling you. Yeah.
But not in 84.
No.
So Don must have been around. What was Don's career? He had to go. I guess that's not that far off of Greasy retiring.
No, Greasy, think about it. What year did they were 72 when
72
they went,
undefeated.
yeah, and he was still on the team for 5-6 years after that. I don't know. David Woodley was also on that roster, 1983.
Right.
Mark Duper.
Duper and Clayton.
Yeah.
Duper, Clayton, and who was the third one there? There were two Marks.
See.
Mark Duper, Mark Clayton. That's the two Marks. I was thinking there was a third wide receiver.
There's a Mark Brown that played linebacker.
Who was there? Another wide receiver on that team? I mean, I know there was. I thought there was a third name. I think Tony Nathan was the running back at that time.
Okay, wide receiver. You got Tony Nathan as a running back. David Overstreet as a running back.
Out of Oklahoma.
I don't see anybody else with the name David.
Right on.
They've got Jim Jensen listed as a freaking wide receiver on that roster.
Interesting. Backing up, getting back to where we were talking about the Patriots and Cam Newton getting let go and people bashing Belichick. I find it interesting, even true or not, about Brady for Belichick, that Asante Samuel, Kelly.
Well, he played for him. Yeah,
Kelly. We'll get back to what you want to talk about, but somebody just chatted in the Patriot TV chat. What's even going on here? I don't understand a word you're saying because we're talking sports. She wants to get back to Afghanistan and COVID.
Okay,
but we will.
I'm good at.
But we were discussing earlier today that Belichick, they slam on him, and you mentioned Nick Saban. Those guys are, you say a lot of. Who stepped in for Marino or Brady when he got that 4-game suspension? New England rolled right. They went 3-1 in that little stretch. when he got
Yeah.
the Deflategate suspension.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. That
The
stepped
guy
in
ended
there.
up going. I can't remember his name either, right off the top of my head. He ended up going
Was
to
he the one to San Francisco?
Kansas City. That was after that. That was somebody else after that. That was Garoppolo,
Yeah. Okay.
I believe. So
See,
but
I don't follow it like I used to
me either.
because it got so damn political. I got sick of watching it.
It makes it's hard, but we were comparing. I kind of compare Saban to Belichick.
Yeah.
But if you take
know,
according to Asante, if you take Brady out, then there's no comparison at all.
Well, I just think, I think if you look at Brady's career, I mean, how many stud receivers did he have? You know, hot commodity stud receivers that he have during the course of his career at New England.
Right.
He had good tight ends, right? But they, I mean, you're talking about a bunch of 5'10" guys playing receiver.
Yeah.
Those small receivers.
Welker.
Yeah.
He had Randy Moss.
At-
Randy Moss put up some good numbers there.
Yeah, because he was able to. I mean, you throw the ball up anywhere near him, he's going to catch it.
Right. Yeah, it was. He had.
But
they lost. They didn't pay anybody the big money, except for Brady. They just let him go.
yeah,
And Brady also restructured. That guy was pretty genius in the way he handled the money situations, because he restructured so other people could get paid and stay around because money wasn't the issue. He didn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to him if he gets it now or down the road. His wife makes more than him, so.
yeah. Well, I think he's one of those guys that's the opposite of. If you look at Cam Newton, Tom Brady's the opposite. He's not overly athletic. The best thing he's got going for him is his knowledge of the game and his ability to get rid of the ball faster than anybody else. Might be a reason why they had short, receivers, because they're not throwing it, 90 yards down the field every time. It's short stuff.
His
outs.
precision.
Yeah, he's very accurate. Okay. Have you seen that video where he throws a football
Ridiculous. Into the
he
jugs
does it
machine?
3 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 times into the jugs machine.
Is I just don't even understand that.
It's all he does. Let's throw a football.
Well,
at a
what I'm
target.
saying is that, I mean, the RPM must not be that high on the jugs because.
They probably had to play with it to make it work. But
Right.
Still to hit that spot, the average person doesn't really realize what a jugs is.
That's
Okay.
a tighter grouping than you can with anything you have in your safe than you can do with anything other in your safe.
No, I would dispute that wholeheartedly.
How did I know?
So-
How did I know?
Yeah. So, so there's a contrast. If you look at Newton versus Brady, the physical differences, but the passion for the game. Brady doesn't need to keep playing,
Right?
but he's still playing. He wants to play for a couple more years.
It's amazing. And it looked to be that he was, maybe it wasn't going to happen in the middle of the year last year.
Yeah. Well, all it's going to take for him is one more hit, in the wrong position, and that might be it.
Right.
He might not be able to recover from it. But and why would you want to at that stage of the game? That's why I always like Elway. I know we're jumping around a little bit here, but I always admired Elway because he was gritty. He played a hard game. He was tough. I like Roethlisberger because of that.
Right.
He's so huge. Roethlisberger is one of those guys that he could play. He's bigger than some of his linemen.
Yeah. He's 6'7", right?
And he's gigantic. You ever see? He always gets hurt when he's got three guys hanging on to him
Right.
and trying to get out of the pocket. But tough, tenacious. Gotta love the game to keep getting banged up like that and keep playing.
Well, let's change course here. Let's pivot. Last night I was on Truth Slingers, which is, you need to check those guys out, man. Good show. Beard Vet, Kenny, Ghost, Rampage. They were kind enough to have me on last night. Mel isn't, I didn't even know last night until partway through the show that Mel was down in Fort Myers, Florida. So there's some Florida people, a lot of Florida people around. But I was on with Michael Yan, and he is, michaelyan-online.com. Check him out. But he is a former Green Beret, CIA, and has been a war correspondent in Iraq and Afghanistan since 2004. And so he is the man. He is a man among men as far as war correspondence, and I think you saw some of his stuff here
How do you
recently.
spell his last name?
Y-O-N.
Oh, okay.
Y-O-N. And so it's been pretty disgusting. You know, he was on. He talked
I've
a lot.
seen him.
He talked a lot about General Donahue last night, and he also talked about Milley. He had a situation where he had a woman and 3 children that he had talked, and I believe Americans. I'm not positive. I have to go back and listen or check that. But a woman and 3 kids that he was trying to get out of there. And he had permission from the Taliban. He said what we don't realize, a lot of us don't realize, is there's different facets of the Taliban out there. And I won't say good, but some not bad, and some bad, some not as bad or something along those lines. Right. But he had permission from the Taliban to get him to the gate at the airport. And the army would not let them in.
Our guys would not.
Our guys would not let them in. There's if you look at Kelly Calloway's Facebook, she posted a video last night of some of the stuff that's going on there and the people trying to get through the barbed wire and get in and stuff. It is beyond heartbreaking to see. I mean, people holding their babies up over barbed wire, trying to hand them to the soldiers, they're just giving their kids away so that their kids have a chance at life, trying to give their kids away.
So I'm looking at one of his tweets from 3 hours ago.
Okay.
And it says, Department of State blocking us from rescuing Americans. We have Americans with blue passports ready to leave Afghanistan. Taliban will allow landing. U.S. Department of State blocking flights.
Yeah.
Rick Clay's team has 3 jets ready. Okay, so we're never going to hear that on the mainstream.
You have to get your news somewhere else besides, and you know what? This is the first frowned upon moment of the night. Fuck Fox. I'm going to start right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you're not you have to get your news from somewhere besides the mainstream media.
Okay, how about this story? This is another one that blows me away, and we're not seeing anything about it. Very little, okay? What are these 22 or 24 students from Southern California doing in Afghanistan? High school students.
They are, I'd read a story about this earlier. Why they're over there is still beyond me despite this, but I believe their heritage is from the Middle East there and from Afghanistan or Iraq or something over there. And so they've got
that would be the only reasonable explanation that I can think of.
They've got family over there, but they still shouldn't be over there.
But is it a school function? Is it because it made it?
Seems like it was sponsored that way.
Yeah, it sounded like it was backed up by the school district. And there are other personnel there with them, like guardians or, what do they call them?
Chaperones.
Chaperones, yeah. That's just, to me, that's just like, if that's the explanation, I guess I can live with it. But if they're not, I just don't, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that was mind-boggling.
No matter what people say.
I'm like, what the hell are you doing over there?
Okay. I mean, look, Afghanistan's been in turmoil for what, 2,000 years? 1,000 years? It's tribal. There's, anybody that believes that you can go over there and establish any kind of a democracy is way off the rails. Okay, that's not why we went there to begin with. It's who, and our friends in Afghanistan there's probably some that don't qualify under this description, but it's about the money. Who's getting what money? Those are the ones that are, we can negotiate with, but it's always about the money. So it's going to be no different this time around with getting people out. It's going to be about money. And now you've got, Michael Yan is one of them, but there's multiple groups here, non-government groups in the United States that are ramping up to do what they can to help over there.
Glenn Beck's over there getting people out.
Yep.
And some people
he raised in 48 hours, he raised $20 million.
People talk a lot of smack about Glenn Beck, but he's a patriot and he gets it done. And you know what? He believes that the Christians are being, some more than others, that the persecution is harder on them over there, especially if you're converted to the Taliban. Yeah. If you're converted, that's like double jeopardy.
Yeah.
So he had planes, and this backs up what you said a few minutes ago about the State Department. He had planes of people ready to go, Algeria, and he's resettling them in different countries in the area, which is more comfortable for those people, an easier place for them to assimilate to. I believe it was Algeria, and our State Department called Algeria and said, "Don't take them."
I have no doubt that that's the case because they want to bring them here. And we're never going to know what the number is, the true number.
Beck says there's thousands of Americans still there. Thousands of Americans still there.
Yeah, we're never going to know that number either. This thing is it's beyond nightmarish, way beyond. And this talk about it being, I saw the positioning start last week with language like, oh, this is the greatest airlift ever. This is the greatest airlift in history. The spin, whatever you want to call it. It's a disaster.
That's like saying 9/11 was the greatest rescue. I mean, You start a catastrophe, and then and then say the response to it's the greatest.
There's something more to this whole thing for them to be, and when I say them, I'm talking about our own government. For them to be this, this missed the mark by so much. It's unfathomable unless there's another reason for it going the way it's going. Some future scenario that we're unaware of at this point. But if you're the Chinese, if you're the Russians, we're getting into bigger picture stuff here now with foreign policy. They are licking their chops at this whole scenario. And they're happy Joe Biden is in the White House. Totally happy because this is the kind of shit they're gonna get to watch, and we're only 8 months into the presidency. How much more of this do we get to see?
Well, this is not. Biden said in that interview with Stephanopoulos that this chaos was all factored in. We knew this was going to happen. You knew this was going to happen?
You know what? I saw an interview with him right after this started, when it started to look ugly. And he basically denied. He said that the military advisors, generically, we're not in consensus about how that this was going to be an issue, this withdrawal, or that the Afghanistan government the military over there was going to collapse that fast. So that's a contradiction to what you just said. Okay. They first said we had no idea that they were going to collapse in 11 days. Right?
Right.
Now they're saying, we saw it coming months ago. I just saw Jen Psaki, however you pronounce her name, a day or two ago say, yeah, we knew this has been months in the making. We saw it happen, and that was trying to make an explanation as to why Biden made the phone call to Ghani to try to get him to, basically lie about what was going on over there to the world, to make it look like things were more orderly, right? Because they told everybody, we had no idea it was going to collapse as fast. Right. So he had to support his lie by having somebody else lie for him.
All right? All intentional. Did you see did you see the White House press briefing today?
I don't watch that shit, to be honest with you.
Well, I saw it through a clip. I don't watch it either.
Yeah.
Don't try and put me down.
I'm not. You and me are different. You are way more in tune what's going on. I fly by the seat of my pants.
Your Facebook posts suggest otherwise.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I do love them. However,
I get a lot of good compliments from people. They never do it on Facebook. They always do it off of Facebook. Because I think there's some of them that secretly like, they don't want everybody to know how much they like my salt.
The boldness with which you project yourself.
Yeah, correct.
Salty indeed.
Yeah.
Like, what's coarse salt.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
That ain't it's not pink Himalayan sea salt.
No. Yeah, coarsely ground. Yeah.
Todd, you want to weigh in?
No, I'm fine.
Todd, that reaction makes it sound like you're not with us on these thoughts.
No, I agree with you guys on most of it. I haven't been keeping up with it as of late, so.
He's been overwhelmed with a new school year. Yeah. I don't know about overwhelmed, but besieged by a new school year.
Yeah.
Are you maskless over there?
Me?
At school, kids can wear. I mean, some of the teachers wear them. Kids can wear them if they want, but it's not a requirement, and it hasn't been brought up by any of the management. So it's a good thing.
Can you hear Todd, Dan?
I can.
Got it.
It's just it's making me more and more interested in the state of Florida.
Dan. The school system has the kids can wear them if they want, and the teachers can wear them if they want, but it's not a requirement by any means. And the management hasn't mentioned them or anything. So
that's promising. A judge here in Florida struck down the mandate against the mandated masks by DeSantis.
Well,
you can always find a judge.
Of course, that's what happens. And yet you can always find the Supreme Court too, because that's usually where all the legislation ends up. I mean, our Congress doesn't legislate anything. They just come up with shit. Everybody argues about it for a couple of years. It ends up in front of the Supreme Court, and that's how the law gets made or not made.
Right. You know,
It's just ridiculous.
I wanted to back up for a second because I saw Kelly commented on Facebook. I'm having a hard time keeping up with Facebook and with Patriot TV, but so
I would have mentioned it, but I didn't want to interrupt your flow.
I'm trying over here. I got it up here, but I'm trying. But I saw part of the press conference, the White House briefing or whatever, White House press conference, and press briefing. And they had a cyber expert on now and rolling out the big warning for the holiday weekend for cyber attacks.
Yeah. When are they going to start talking about? I can't wait for them to start talking about the grid, the vulnerability of our grid, because you know what's going to happen. Ultimately, that's going to be damaged somehow, and they're going to blame it on a cyber attack. They'll blame it on the Russians. They'll blame it on the Chinese. They'll blame it on the Koreans.
What was the what was the cyber attack on the East Coast a couple months ago?
That was for one of the oil companies had a pipeline that was going up to the East Coast.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they blame that on the Russians. Some sort of a hack.
Always deflection. Always deflection.
Of course. They're never going to admit, what is really going on. And in my opinion, there's two parties. There's definitely two parties in this country. It's us versus them. It's not Democrats versus Republicans. I mean, I've told you stories about being in Washington, and in social settings, in restaurants and bars in DC, where I've seen these guys that the media picks as the spokespeople to bash each other from both sides of the aisle. There's just a handful of them. Used to be McCain and whoever else on the Democrat side. They'd all get on their shows and bash each other. But you can go downtown DC, hang out, and on just about any given night in some of those fancy restaurants, you'll see the same guys buying each other drinks and sitting at the same table eating, So, I put it in perspective like this. I graduated from high school in a class of 750. And after 4 years, I knew everybody, right?
Right.
It's kind of hard to know 750, but I knew their faces at least. Probably had talked to them during that time. And if you look at our government, the way it's set up, there's 435 Congress people.
535.
No, 435.
Oh, Congress.
Reps.
Yeah. Representatives.
House of Reps.
Right.
And 100 senators. So Congress as a total is 535. Then you got, the Supreme Court. And then you got the White House. So the total is way less than 600.
Right.
That's the group that tells the rest of us what to do. We put them there, with the exception of the Supreme Court, but they're telling us what to do. And if you can look at somebody with a straight face and say, "Oh yeah, they don't all know each other," that's bullshit. They do, intimately.
Oh yeah.
It's a club. Just like the 750 kids that I graduated from high school with. We all knew each other.
Yeah.
So, this, when you start analyzing the ability for them to keep things under wraps, it's not that hard, dude. Not with that many. Not if they're all on the same page.
Well,
none of them are going to give up their own deal, right? They're all doing too well financially. They all stand to gain millions of dollars just by being, elected one time, because they never leave Washington, even after they get, unelected.
Right.
So
well, half of them that don't even get in, that run, they just run for the notoriety to stick around that and be part of the club, to be part of the, the goings on.
I read a few years ago, and I forget who wrote it, but the estimate was it takes $1 billion, to become a senator. Like if you started from zero.
Wow.
So you can buy your way in, right?
Just for $1 billion.
It takes just $1 billion. That's what it takes to run the campaign, to buy the right people, to do the right things, whatever it takes. If you can come up with $1 billion. So, you get somebody that's relatively polished that can go in front of a camera and not look too stupid. You got a group of investors that say, hey, we got to have a say down there. They just put whoever they want in there, and they stay. I mean, these drug companies, look at the drug companies. Who's making billions of dollars off this COVID? The government tells us tells the people that these vaccines are free. They're not free. We're paying for them.
The government bought them.
They've already collected the money from us to pay the drug companies to give us a shot that they call free. It's pretty linear. It's not complicated.
Kelly says that they have to raise $25,000 a day to stay in office.
That's probably not that big a deal, really. 25,000 a day. When you think about it, what does that add up to? 365 days. Do the math, Todd.
Okay.
25,000. Well, they don't work
10 million.
365 days. Yeah. How many days are they in session?
Just under, yeah.
Well, let's just say it was a day.
Well, 25,000 a day.
I meant million. I mean, I said 10 million. It's 9.1 million.
9.1. Just under.
Yeah. So, craziness. Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
well, they say they're on them right off the bat. I mean, the leadership is on them like stink on shit the minute they come aboard.
just start bringing in the
Making calls.
You got to be
part.
you got to bring in the money to be on a committee.
You know who does that? You know who used to do that? And they used a different term for it. You've seen it in Hollywood films depicted. You got to earn. Who says you got to earn? The mafia, the mob,
Right.
organized crime. These guys are the biggest gangsters. They have perfected it.
Yeah, it is. It's nothing but organized crime. I mean, I'd say I say 90% of them are on the same team. You were talking about them all, going out. They do their thing and then they go out and have drinks together. 481 of the 535 are on the same team.
Yeah, probably. And the guys that get in there the first time that don't join up with the team, they're out after one or two go rounds.
You remember the guy from Massachusetts that won the runoff? I guess back in the day, it might have been. It was before the Obamacare. But he I don't think he played ball. He was out, just one term, less than a term, because it was a special runoff.
Yeah.
They don't stay around long at all.
Well,
what do you think of Kristi Noem?
I don't know, dude. Not up on that.
I'll tell you one thing about her.
What's that?
Where she met, I guess, kind of under the, cover of darkness with John Boehner a little just recently.
She from Ohio?
She's South Dakota's governor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Why didn't you just say that? I don't know the name. I know who she is.
Okay. What do you think of South Dakota's governor?
She's awesome.
And I thought so too. And they're on her about a few things. And I this doesn't completely take me off. That's a shocker to me. John Boehner is
power broker. He's still a power broker.
Right. Well, I'm not saying that, but they certainly shouldn't even be. They shouldn't even be meeting, because there should be nothing they have to talk about unless Boehner is turned over a new leaf.
Yeah, who knows? He was like a kite in the wind.
He's a pile of shit.
Yeah. I'm going to throw 3 names at you. This is going to piss Kelly off.
I hope I know him. Don't
3.
embarrass me.
Okay, I won't use any reference. I'm just going to use the names, okay?
Okay.
Don Brewer, Mel Shocker, Mark Farner.
Don't know him.
Come on, man. You're old enough to remember these guys.
That's possible.
Grand Funk Railroad.
I never knew the Grand Funk Railroad. I guess I should. I love the
Come on,
locomotion.
man. They're the Michigan band. You're a Michigan guy. Come on.
So you are going to embarrass me.
Yeah, so I just went to a Grand Funk Railroad concert last Friday with Cindy. And 2 of the 3 originals. You know the song "We're an American Band"?
Yep.
Well, their logo is a flag with a fist with a finger pointing. We're an American band. Okay, it's awesome.
Right.
Don Brewer is 72 years old. He's the drummer. He is the guy that basically was the heartbeat of that whole organization. He did a 10-minute drum solo. A 72-year-old dude. And it was awesome. But he wore an Uncle Sam hat and ran around with the American flag. And it was in upstate New York and, conservative area. And it was, we're still out there. There's once they get rid of our generation, I think they think they're going to have their way. But
right.
Not that we're the only thing holding it together, but we're the connection. And you're so good at trivia. I thought you would.
I never knew the name that I never knew their name.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you need to do some more studying on Grand Funk.
I like We're an American Band.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I like the locomotion better.
They played that.
I'm sure they did.
Played all their good stuff. They played everything.
What do you think their 2 best? What are their 2 best? What do you think's their best song?
Well, I like American Band and the older one. I'm Your Captain.
Right. So Kelly just said Bob Seger hangs out at Beaver Island, Michigan, and that was the last concert that you talked to me about it, that you went to a couple years ago.
Well, Kelly, if you're listening, Don Brewer, look him up. Don Brewer. They all grew up real close to each other. And in the 60s and early 70s, you had Grand Funk, you had Alice Cooper, you had Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, you had a young Glenn Fry who ended up with the Eagles, obviously. You had Seeger, and the list goes on, but they all knew each other.
Kelly got Grand Funk Railroad. She answered it in the chat, Grand Funk Railroad.
Did she?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Don Brewer toured with Seeger for years outside of Grand Funk. And there is a riff between the two guys that remain, Don Brewer and Mel Shocker, who's the bass player, and Mark Farner, who was their frontman, singer, guitarist. They were a 3-man band back in the day. And so Farner's not touring with them. And, I wasn't sure what to expect because he wasn't with them. But the guys they have, doing what he did were as good, if not better. So I was not disappointed at all. But Don Brewer, probably, I keep saying his name, but he might be one of the best drummers ever, period, in the rock scene. And I know, Charlie Watts just crapped out, but
right.
And he gets a lot of credit too, and John Bonham and those guys from those days, but this guy is unbelievable.
Don't they do
and
that
I've
song,
seen him.
Some Kind of Wonderful, isn't that them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They did that and it was really good. I mean, awesome song. They were like sharp. They were crisp. There was no, and they're loud. I mean, they're definitely loud.
That's craziness, man, that they're still touring at 70. But many are.
Isn't the Stones supposed to be going back out on tour? Didn't I see something? The Stones, aren't they supposed to?
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, what I notice when I see these guys that are, in their 70s and they're up there entertaining is they just enjoy doing it. I mean, right. They're having fun and they keep saying that over and over, but they're this group is very patriotic and very appreciative of the veterans. They do a lot, that way. From a fundraising standpoint. So, I was happy to pay what we paid to go and see it. The warm-up group was the Grassroots. So,
wow. How old are they?
Really old. But none of the originals were in this lineup. But the third group that was supposed to be there was the Guess Who.
With Burton Cummings?
Burton Cummings, the Bachmans, BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive, and
Randy.
All those guys. That's where they came from. But there was some snafu at the Canadian border, or prior to them leaving Canada, with the COVID restrictions. They were going to have trouble getting back in, not trouble getting into the United States, but trouble getting back into Canada. So they bailed at the last minute. So
Speaking
two
of
out of three
shit shows, Canada.
What, Canada?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Daniel,
here,
go ahead.
Use the Canadian accent, or what do you call it? I'm not having a good day with my memory today. Lexicon. We say drama, they say drama. So when you go to Canada, you're going to get nothing but drama.
Nothing but drama.
Yeah.
This is my idea, eh?
Yeah. Gotta go get some beers, eh?
Got it. Oh, it's my idea, eh? No, it wasn't Hoser.
Yeah.
Doug and Bob McKenzie,
Yeah, that's not too far off reality either.
right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, buddy, I appreciate you hanging out tonight.
Yeah, it was fun. You know how it goes. We could just keep going.
Absolutely. Are you playing hockey next week?
No, the schedule has changed. So for the fall, so you know, I've been going Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so no more Thursdays, different nights. So I should be able to participate if you need me to.
Okay. Well, sounds good, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate you hanging out tonight. Thanks for interacting with Chloe. She was a sweetheart. She was awesome tonight. I hope everybody got to see Chloe. If you're watching now or hanging out there and you didn't see Chloe earlier in the show, go check her out. She was a 14-year-old that was on point.
Yeah, she's got a very bright future based on the few minutes I observed.
I concur. I hope her mom is still listening, and that'll make her happy. So,
Yeah.
well, listen. Also, you've seen it scrolling across the top of the screen all night. Outsider Tactical. Go check them out. We appreciate their the new partnership with them. Tell Staffing and HR. If you own a small business, go out and check out Tell Staffing and HR. You don't need to be doing your HR yourself. You do what you're good at. Let them do what they're good at. We will see you next week on Play Harder Radio. Thanks for coming out, guys. Have a good night.
Yep. See ya.